let's knock out these six. So this is our 6-pack of questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through them real quick. Okay. Oh, well, it's that one. Okay. I'm gonna start with this one.
So I'm supposed to take my time, think about it.
I mean, it's. I mean,
I'm supposed to. It's rapid fire.
it's kind of rapid fire,
Okay.
but it might end up being 20 minutes. Who knows? All right. Who has inspired you as a mentor and why?
Man, we haven't gotten into a ton of my past, but that's been an area in my life that's been sorely lacking. Yeah, having somebody to look up to, or somebody that I would like to emulate, or that can provide me good counsel.
Well, it's
Yeah.
Sometimes not having a mentor will turn you into a mentor. You know what I mean? You're like your past experiences, what you've gone through, those stories, things
Yeah.
like that. It'll.
I know what not to do.
Yeah. That's
been exampled clearly to me.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
We talked about this on the podcast. Where would you choose to live if you had to leave this country? Where you've been a lot of places. Where would you choose to live?
I love Paris.
Really?
I do.
Really?
I don't know why I like Paris so much. But I don't, I would easily move to Ireland.
Oh, well, that's fair.
Yeah. And, just felt like home. I've got family history there, and it'd be amazing to, like, that if that house that's still standing was standing there and like it's for sale, and I was able to buy this house that my family lived in 1852.
Turn it to an Airbnb.
Turn it to an Airbnb. Just make money off of it.
You're like, I'm not going to live there, but
I could easily live in South America. There's a lot of places in South America I would love to live. Peru is amazing.
Do you think this is fair? Like, everywhere can be a pretty great place. Most everywhere could be a pretty great place to live. But, you're going to make sacrifices of one thing or another that's not in some other place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. If you're choosing, like, Mexico, you know what I mean?
Mexico.
There might be a level of, it's going to be hot and you're going to have to deal with cartel. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's like there's going to be trade-offs, but maybe, food's really cheap and you can vacation every day. Or
yeah, I mean, there's places around the world that have good standards of living that you can live on $1,000 or less US.
I just got back from Budapest recently, right? And this is what I realized. I realized I could totally live in Budapest, but I need an American job.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. You got to keep earning American dollars.
Yeah, because the cost of living there is incredibly low.
Right.
But the earning of a living is incredibly low. So if I'm earning from over here,
right, so it's like we were talking about earlier, the things changing so much, being able to work remote, and especially doing something like this or having a YouTube channel or whatever. I mean, making $1,000 a month in ad revenue or 2,000 or 3 is attainable. It is a grind. I don't make that yet. But it's doable. I can see it in the future here pretty soon. So, the idea I could go to another country and just keep doing YouTube videos.
Look, I have this theory that in the last, we'll say 20 years, we can agree it's got incredibly more, it's easier to travel. People can afford traveling. More people can afford traveling, right? People go all over the place all the time. There's the internet. They see all the things and stuff. I think at some point, everybody's just going to live everywhere, because every time you go over somewhere else, they're like, oh, you're from America? I want to go there. And you're like, no, you don't. You know what I mean? You're like, you want to stay here. And they're like, no, I don't want to stay here. And at some point, like, a bunch of Americans will live probably over in Budapest because they can work a remote job and not have to like worry about it. You know what I mean?
Almost similar to like a video finally taking off that's been sitting on your channel forever. It's like people find out about something and the next thing you know, it's like everybody's doing it, right?
Yeah.
Now they're looking for the next thing. You know, Costa Rica is blowing up with American people, you know, just 3 to 5 years ago, people were still buying property down there for like so cheap. And now it's just getting overrun. Now you're getting American prices on homes down there. So it's not a place to live anymore. But if you got in there right away, now people are cashing out and going to the next spot.
Americans fucking shit up everywhere.
We're really good at
you can't stop us.
Really good at that.
You can't stop us. What are the most important qualities you look for in friends?
Honesty, loyalty.
Seems pretty easy, doesn't it?
Yeah. I have an amazing group of friends that are like my surrogate family, basically, that I developed here in this town that really took the place of what I was lacking with in terms of a family growing up. And, you know, we're 30, 35, some of them years in to our friendships.
That's rad.
Same group.
I always tell people I guest appear in other people's groups. I have a couple of really close friends, and then I have all these groups of friends that they're really tight.
Yeah.
But like I'm not in their group.
You feel like you orbit that kind of?
Oh, I just feel like it's kind of the person I am too. Like, you know what I mean? That I tend to have groups of friends that I hang out with this group and hang out with that group, and I don't know. You know, some people like to shoot guns at Tannerite. Some people like to do other stuff. What do you dream life will be like in 10 years? I don't mean the horrible shit. I mean more like your YouTube channel, or you know, whatever you're going to be doing. What are you manifesting right now, to use a fancy word?
I think in 10 years, I think is more than enough time to carve out the space that I've been working on for nonstop travel. And I'd love to be doing that at that point, instead of just myself, be doing that as a family.
Yeah.
With my kid.
My parents didn't travel when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't get
mine either.
I didn't get on a plane until I was like 20 something years old.
Oh,
right?
wow. Yeah.
And when you go other countries and you see how other people live, and you realize like how nice they are there a lot of times, and then like how much more community it feels like there is there. I personally want my daughter to see all that. I also want to see what poverty looks like and all the other things, so that you can be really grateful and appreciative. And at the same time, like go, hey, it's also my responsibility to try to help others as well.
Yeah.
You know, at any time that I can. So
100%.
So I you know, but I'm waiting until she's 6. I'm not. Yeah. I need her to be like
giving everybody on the airplane a break.
Yeah. Fully potty trained, you know, pretty solid in who she's going to be as a person. Have a conversation, get your ass on a plane kind of stuff, you know? Okay. What did you get in the most trouble for when you were young?
Bro,
pick one.
Okay. God. I was taken away from my family when I was 14. I was put in a mental institution rehab place for stealing. I robbed a store. I was doing drugs. I got found all this stuff. I was getting in trouble a lot with fights. And then I got put in after that place, it was an acute care facility. I got put in an adult facility. I still to this day don't know how that happened, in Little Rock. I got sent to Little Rock. So at 15, I was in an adult facility with like rapists, drug users, violent offenders. So that was pretty life-changing and definitely shaped a lot of things, but I was also coming from a very bad environment in my home. So I got in a lot of trouble when I was younger, a lot of trouble. I was in and out of stuff. It was one of the reasons why I joined after my friend died. It was one of the reasons why I joined the military too. I knew I was on this path. I'd already been institutionalized 11 different times between 14 and 18. So whether it was like a rehab facility or like a youth home or residential program, or it was like a mental facility, or it was a, jail or, a youth jail or something. I spent a lot of time between 14 and 18 and in and out of those places. Just getting into trouble constantly.
I'm a big Forensic Files guy.
Uh-huh.
I like watching Forensic Files.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed how dumb some of these people get caught. Like, they just like leave the receipt in their truck or something like that. So can you think of a time that you got caught doing something and like the way you got caught was just like fucking dumb?
I'll be honest with you, man.
You didn't get caught very much?
I got, clearly I got caught doing shit, right? But,
were you pretty detailed?
I guess, when I got caught with all of I'd robbed like a boat shop. I'd stolen all these radios, depth finders, all this equipment off these brand new boats and stuff, right? And I just had it under a bed in my room. And then I think I tried to pawn it, and that's what got me in trouble. I was like 14. I tried to pawn like 2 duffel bags worth of.
I mean, as that's because like, you just don't. Yeah.
And, I got in trouble once, but they let me go. I was sitting in the back seat and shoved like a bag of cocaine or something into the seat. I think I was like 15 or 16. And it was like right under my ass. It's like clearly mine, I don't know, man. I did a bunch of dumb stuff. It's hard to pick specific things. I didn't get like, back then, this is what, 30 something years ago. So this is like the early 90s, mid 90s. They'd let you go.
Yeah. I
ran away from home one time and I had a gun in my waist and I was 13 and it was like a pellet gun. It wasn't or was it a real gun?
Were you living in Austin at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, this is over off Jollyville.
Oh, wow.
And it was cold out and this rookie cop pulled up and he stopped and he was asked, he's getting into my business. Like, what are you doing? Clearly I'm like 13 or something. I'm walking around the streets. It's like midnight or 1 a.m. And it was really cold out. He let me sit in his car and I guess he'd called in backup and he was letting me warm up in his car. And so we're sitting next, I'm in the front with him and everything. Well, this other cop gets there and the first thing he does is pull me out and goes to search me. And I'm like, wait. And he's like pushes me up against the car and he ends up pulling that gun out of my waist. And the other cop was like, what? He's like, you had a gun the whole time? And it was like, I mean, I didn't know what I was supposed to tell him, I was 13 years old. I was supposed to tell him like, hey, by the way, I got this gun on me. And, but they released me back to my house.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So things were different back then. Cops would let people go.
Kids
go anyways.
I grew up in a really small town. We'll say that someone that looks like me and sounds like me and probably has my same name, along with one of my other friends, we had been drinking and got pulled over by a cop. And we basically convinced the cop that like my buddy hadn't been drinking.
Yeah.
But he obviously had.
Right.
And then we just switched seats and he let us go home. And I was just like,
that's so wild. They let me do that once too. We got pulled over and they took my buddy to jail and they let me leave with his car. I was clearly drunk and I didn't know how to drive standard. So I'm driving off down the highway, just grinding these gears.
You're drunk and you're trying like to be
I was
insuspicious,
wasted,
and you're just grinding the gears.
And underage, we were all like maybe 17. I don't, things aren't like that anymore. But Austin is very different. This is not the same city.
Oh, sure.
That I grew up in.
I mean, I can't even claim those words. I don't feel like I've lived here long enough to be able to say Austin isn't what it used to be. I got to live here a little bit longer.
This area here used to be the outskirts of town.
See, yeah, I live in town right now. All right. Last one. What's the hardest thing you've ever done?
There's several big life-changing moments for me. I went through a pre-ranger course in the Army to prep to go to ranger school at Fort Hood. It was something they started, usually RIP Ranger indoctrination programs, like pre-ranger. It's like to weed people out before you go into ranger school. Is at Fort Benning. But they did some program at Fort Hood where they allowed a bunch of soldiers that are already like tabbed, who are already rangers, do this course before they approved sending any of us to Fort Benning to go through school to see if we could pass that. So it's the first one they ever did, and it was tough. It pushed me to my limits. It pushed me to my limits to the point where I realized that the limits that I had physically and emotionally and mentally were self-imposed, and I could break those limits. It was the first time I'd ever done that. Like, there were at least like that. It was very impactful for me in recognizing that I was capable of more than anything that I'd ever thought I was capable of.
I think that most people never get there. Like, they never stretch themselves far enough to realize they're capable of much more. They're much more happy just being comfortable. And like,
because that was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we lost 7 guys the first day, and another 4 within that day or the next day. I don't remember how many people we started with, but we finished with like less than half.
What did the most people, they quit the mental shit?
I saw everything. Yeah.
The mental shit's what's got them, right?
The lack of sleep
fucks with you.
Fucks with people bad.
Good thing you don't need sleep.
Bro, that wasn't the case when I was younger. It was,
really?
It was a lot harder for me then, but now I can go now without much sleep, but back then it was a bit tougher when I was younger. But yeah, I mean, I saw guys quit over all sorts of stuff. I saw guys purposely injure themselves to get out of things, to not quit.
Man, that's crazy.
It is crazy. I saw some crazy shit. I saw people, do weird shit from lack of sleep and food and hallucinating and stuff. And, yeah, it was fucked up. It was, we were out. Well, I don't think I'd eaten for 2 days, and I'd almost not slept for 3. And I got back off doing this whole land nav thing. We were supposed to find all these grid points or whatever. And by the way, I suck at land nav, and I was a private. I was the lowest ranked guy in that program at the time, and I sucked, and I failed it so hard.
I mean, it wasn't enough that the thing was hard. When you got to that, you didn't go, maybe I should do videos in ancient places.
But I came back, and they're all sitting, all the RIs, the ranger instructor guys, were sitting around a campfire cooking burgers and eating bags of chips, and it made me stand at parade rest in front of the fire. All that shit's just coming up into my face.
You know why? Because they knew all of it's bullshit. They know it's bullshit, that they just trying to bust your balls and get you to quit. Because ultimately, I would assume, I mean, if you're not just a total tub of shit and you make it through, like, you're gonna make it through. Like, all you gotta do is get through all the bullshit.
Yeah, and they were offering burgers if you quit. You can have a burger, eat some Doritos. You just got to go over there and quit. Like, it got to a point we were doing, because you'd have guys quit in your groups, and if they had sensitive items, So let's say they were the machine gunner. Well, you don't just lose the machine gun on your squad. Somebody else takes that now. And if they had claymores, now you got to redistribute the claymores. So your packs are getting heavier as the thing goes on and people quit, because you have to carry their shit. Whatever was, not all their shit, but whatever sensitive items they had, you have to now redistribute. So your pack's getting heavier. And we were doing this march, and I don't know, we were averaging about 20 to 25 miles a day. We had to keep hitting these objectives, and they're all designed for you to fail.
Yeah, just fuck you up.
And then, so you get late to you're late to your objective, and that overlaps into your next one, which means you're not going to make that one. They're not designed for you to succeed. They're designed to test your leadership and abilities and your capabilities to all that stuff, right? So you're going to fail. But, we were walking, and I was just breaking down. So I started setting points because I was just mentally breaking. And I was like, I can make it to that tree. That's all I could do was set these goals. I can make it to that tree. I make it to the tree, and then I'd be like, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. And then I'd set another one. I can make it to that rock. And so, and the distances kept getting shorter. And finally it was like, one more step, one more step. It was just this mantra in my head. One more step, one more step. And then we quit, and then we stopped. We finally stopped. But that was like, I almost broke.
Well, what's harder? Like that walk or the grind on YouTube to get your channel up?
Well, the YouTube grind is definitely longer.
Yeah.
And it really gets right at you. It gets right in there and twists. The YouTube grind is it's an interesting beast, so to speak. There's all this stuff that goes into it in terms of like you're identifying your sense of self-worth based on your success, which is all based around these numbers. These, you think you're doing good or not doing good based on how many people are following you, interacting with you, and you're trying to balance making money and also, be genuine in how you're presenting your content, but you need to make money too. So you want to put some adverts in there, or you want to encourage people to like follow your channel and support you, but you don't want to ask too much, right?
You don't want to beat them over the head with it.
You don't want to hit, but you're producing free fucking content for people. And look, in the space that I work in, these ancient sites, most people are standing in front of a screen cutting away to shots of stuff that other people have done.
Right.
I'm going to these places. That shit's expensive.
Yeah.
I'm going and getting new footage from sites around the world that people haven't done yet. And so it feels a bit more I could just sit in front of a screen at home and then just cut away to other work, and by the way, I'm not knocking the people that do that. They're putting out good content, and most of the time they're putting out information that's really well thought out and presented, right, in ways that I wouldn't be able to do because that's just not my thing.
But this is your thing.
This is my thing. Yeah. Right. It's like I, had said before, I knew when I started I couldn't get the best footage. I wasn't good enough, and I didn't have enough experience, and I knew no one would listen to me because the channel wasn't big enough. But what I knew I could do was get to places that haven't been filmed or documented well yet, or places that other people were unwilling to go, and I could go do that. And that's what I've done. And it's turned into a thing that I'm kind of known for now. And I think it'll pay off.
Well, look, I knew no one else would start a podcast in the garage with a stuffed armadillo and a space helmet. So I threw it back up on the show. So, hey man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.